Blessed be everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about lunar and solar magic. It was a request to do a video on the differences between the two, so that's what we're going to do today. But before we do, I'm Sandra from MysteryWitchSchool.com. If you're new to the channel and you want to know more about Wicca and witchcraft, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss any videos. And if you are wanting to start your witchcraft practice and you just don't know where to start, what to do, and how to pace yourself along the way, because there is a lot to know and learn, then do download my free video, How to Start Your Witchcraft Practice. It'll just give you some tips and a bit of a roadmap to follow to help you with your study. The link to that is in the description field below this video. We work a lot with the moon in witchcraft, and we do work with the sun as well. We just don't tend to emphasize the solar aspect so much when it comes to magic, because the solar cycle is a year-long cycle, whereas the lunar cycle is a monthly cycle. So the cycling of the ebb and the flow, the waxing and the waning energy that we like to tune into when we're doing magic, it happens more frequently with the moon and the lunar cycle than it does with the solar cycle. But both are still powerful, and they both still have their place in magic and in ritual. In Wicca, anyway, we associate the moon and the lunar energies with the feminine principle. And this is because of that connection of the monthly cycle with the lunar cycles. The moon has a very reflective energy about it because it's reflecting the light of the sun. She also has a very hidden aspect to her too, because there's a total side of her that we never see. And during the month, we only see partial of the side that we can see anyway, until it's the full moon and we can see all of it. The moon lights up the night with the reflecting of the sun's rays. So the moon can also be very enlightening and bring light to dark places. So she has a very interesting energy of darkness and also of light. So you can think of the goddesses, the dark goddess aspect and the light goddess aspect. Now, when you're working with the lunar energies, you can work with the magic according to the phases of the moon. So the moon goes through the phases of being dark, where you can't see it at all in the sky. Then you start to see that very thin crescent in the sky, which is the new moon. The moon then waxes right up until you get to the full moon, and then it starts to wane again until you get to the dark moon again. And this is a cycle that occurs roughly every 29 days. When we're doing magic, we attune ourselves to the cycle. So when the moon is new, we begin new things. So it's the magic that we're doing to have new beginnings, to birth new things. And during that waxing cycle, that 2 weeks before the full moon, we'll do magic for growing things. When it comes to the full moon, magically, we work with the full moon to really put a lot of intensive energy into the magic. So it's an intense time of energy. Astrologically, astrologers will say that the full moon is the time of letting go. And it is letting go because everything's built up and then you're ready to let it go. So from a magical point of view, if we really want to put a lot of energy into a spell, we will do it at the full moon, because that's a really good time to have that powerful energy and to powerfully let it go at the same time. Because when it comes to magic, we do have to surrender and we do have to let it go once we've put our will and intention out there into the world. So you can work with the moon astrologically too, because roughly every 2.5 days, the moon travels through different zodiac signs. And each sign that she is passing through is going to influence the energy at that time. Astrologically, the moon is more connected to our emotions. And we know that the energy of emotion is important to magic, and it's important energetically for us as well. We react to our emotions. Our emotions tend to influence us so strongly that we think they're real. But like the moon's light, they're actually illusory. They're not real. They're projections of our thoughts and beliefs and perceptions sometimes, but they're not necessarily real. Lunar energy is like that too. It's a reflection of the sun's rays. So with the moon, she's working together with the sun to help bring about and give form to your intention. Another aspect of the moon is her influence on water. So that energy of the moon is pulling up the water, particularly at the full moon. And that's why we feel the pull, and we feel the pull on our emotions as the moon starts to get stronger and fuller in the sky. And that's the energy you're working with. You're working with watery, emotional energy. If you're wanting to work with the moon in regards to correspondences, gemstones, for example, you'd be working with moonstone, selenite, pearl. Those gemstones, semi-precious stones, are associated with the moon and the lunar energy. And you can leave them out under a full moon to gather that energy and to really charge them up so that you can then use them in your spell work to bring in that lunar energy to your spell work. And that lunar energy is really about growth and fertility when it comes to that charge of the full moon. You can work with flowers like jasmine. You can work with lily, working with white rose to bring in that lunar energy. Tune into the aspect of the moon that is showing you the illusory world, that we really do create our world via our thoughts and projections and how we react to things. And often we think things are real when they're not. And the moon can teach us about this aspect of living here on planet Earth and being in the material world. The illusory world isn't a negative thing, it just simply is the way things are. And once we understand that it's an illusion, we can then work with the illusion in a way that can actually be productive for us. We can understand that to a large degree we can influence the illusion and make this illusory world more enjoyable for ourselves, more productive, and a better place to live. We can learn more about ourselves, and we can start to look at the differences between who we truly are and who we think we are. We can start to do our shadow work. The moon is a wonderful energy to work with when it's in the dark phase for your shadow work, where you don't have that illusory light there. You have the darkness of the truth of who you truly are, and you've got to look into that and darkness and find a way of shining a light on it so that you can see it. Darkness just means you can't see it. It's hidden. So all you have to do is learn how to shine a light on that. Now, when it comes to solar magic, we're dealing with, of course, the sun. We're dealing with heat, and we're dealing with the more masculine energy when it comes to Wicca. So this is a penetrative energy. It is an active energy. It is energy of force, whereas the lunar energy is an energy more to do with giving form to. It's also cyclical though. We have the waxing and the waning of the year. So at winter time, it's when the sun is the weakest. It's when the sun god is at his weakest. It's the birth of the sun god. So the winter solstice can be a time of planning what it is you're going to want to create, what you're going to want to begin for the coming year. Then it starts to move through to spring. You're getting more energy. It's good for new beginnings and growth. Moving into, of course, the summer solstice when the sun is the strongest in the sky, and so that's a really good time to be really pushing the growth spells and giving your magic more energy, the same way you would if you're working with the full moon, except you're using the heat from the sun as an energy. Then it starts to wane again until you get to the autumn equinox, and then it wanes fully until you're back at the winter solstice again. So it has a cycle too, it's a much longer cycle, and you're probably not going to want to wait around for 6 months to do a spell if you're wanting to get the summer solstice energy. Whereas with the moon, if you're wanting to work with the full moon, you've only got to wait a month till the next full moon. So it's one of the reasons why we tend to work more with the moon for magic. And the solar energy in Wicca anyway is more to do with celebration, gratitude, and community, and that reverence for nature, and focusing more on the religious observances rather than the magical side of the craft. Now, of course, astrology enters into the solar cycle as well. You can plan magic via whatever sign the sun happens to be in. You can also look at when the sun and the moon are working together, as in they are conjunct astrologically, or when they are in opposition to each other. So when it is the full moon, they're in opposition to each other. So you may be dealing with two different aspects. The sun may be in Virgo and the moon will be in Pisces. And so you're dealing with that contrast of energy there between that really intuitive, wafty, watery energy of Pisces and that really grounded analytical aspect of Virgo. So you can play with balancing those in order to bring something to fruition. When it comes to the new moon, then they are conjunct. So that means that the moon and the sun are both in the same zodiac sign. So you're getting more of an emphasis on that particular sign. So you can work that way. You can also do sun water. So that means leaving your water out under the rays of the sun in order to collect that energy, the same as you can do with moon water as well. I've done a video on moon water. So if you want to see that, I will put a link to that in the description field below this video. And you can use that water then for elixirs, you can use that water for your spell work to bring in that energy of either the sun or the moon in your spell work without necessarily having to go out and be under the moon or under the sun. If you're wanting to work with gemstones that connect to the energy of the sun, any of the golden or yellow gemstones like the citrine, sunstone, carnelian. If you're wanting to work with plants, sunflower, of course, rosemary, marigold, any of the yellow, golden, flowery plants will align with the energy of the sun. And of course, with your crystals, whereas you can safely leave them under the moonlight, you can't do that with the sun. The sun will fade pretty much most crystals, except for quartz, and even then you still need to be careful. So there you have lunar magic and solar magic. If you like the video, hit the like button, share it with your friends, don't forget to subscribe, and if you do want to start your witchcraft practice and you haven't downloaded the free video yet, do go to how to start your witchcraft practice in the description field below this video to watch it. I'm Sandra from Mystery Witch School. Blessed be.